All right, our next segment is with Zach Meyers, the Standards and Ethics Bulletin. We're going to talk about standards and ethics applied to AI and valuation tools. I think this is a big developing area as we start to move into this AI era, if you will. So, Zach, come on. I see you there, and I'll let you take it away.
All right, thank you. My name is C. Zachary Meyers. I'm a CPA and a CVA. I specialize in nothing but litigation, valuation, forensic accounting, and taxation. I also have some roles on various standards boards. I'm an advisor to the NACVA Standards Board, the GACVA, as well as the Appraisal Standards Board. You can go to the next slide. And Mel, you're right. This particular topic that we're going to be talking about today is very much up and coming, and it's going to continuously change quite rapidly, I believe, in the near future. The purpose of today's sort of short brief is to provide guidance on the appropriate use of AI, which is a valuation tool. So we're also going to be talking about AVMs and other tools, and for the point of ensuring that AI and AVMs are used objectively, as without bias as much as possible, and to ensure that the reliance on these technologies does not compromise your professional judgment or your work product, really. Next slide. I do want to give a shout out to a couple of boards we've been working with on the NACVA Standards Board, as well as the Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning Commission, even the EOB, the Ethics Advisory Board. Everyone's really been on top of this topic and really trying to provide us with as much insight as possible. And from talking to these boards and, based on our various assessments, there's at least one overall main takeaway that I want to get to up front, just to make sure that we get to it. And that's pretty much that, when it comes to standards, you must apply your professional judgment anytime you're estimating value. And that doesn't change whenever you're using AI or AVMs or other valuation tools. These tools should be used to augment, but not replace your professional judgment. I do nothing but litigation. I've seen a lot of individuals really overly rely on these tools, and you need to be very careful. Make sure that you're doing a number of things that sort of help you utilize and document your professional judgment, as well as just understand the inputs and outputs of the various tools that you're utilizing. Right? This is not an all-inclusive list of the various valuation tools. This list is probably going to expand, but just to give a little idea, AI is a little bit old and a little bit of a new thing in terms of it simulates human intelligence and in machines and performs problem solving, pattern recognition, decision making, things like that. This is a little bit different than some of the more I guess the older tools that have been around for a while, like AVMs, but we also have natural processing tools, machine learning based financial modeling, as well as AI driven data analytics platforms, and a ton of other things. And in fact, there's a number of things that you've probably utilized in your day-to-day operations, performing valuations and other forensic accounting engagements that may actually use AI or AI components that you don't even realize. The standards that relate to AI are really very much the same standards that you would utilize anyway. The big one is the essential use of professional judgment. Anytime you're estimating value, you really have to be careful not to sort of delegate your professional judgment to anyone else, whether it be a client or AI. You have to be very careful with that. AI or any sort of evaluation tool, to some extent, those are already employing the professional judgment of the creator of that particular tool. And so you are intended to utilize that tool to augment, but not replace your own professional judgment. I've also listed a number of other standards, and again, this is not all inclusive. These things always still do apply. You'll see a number of ethics standards, which applies to everything that you do when it comes to the ethics section of the NACBA standards. We'll talk a little bit about sufficient relevant data, reliability, scope limitations, as well as some of the more development side of it when it comes to approaches and identification and the fundamental analysis. This is a big one when it comes to professional competence. The only thing worse than an individual completely like delegating their professional judgment to artificial intelligence or any evaluation tool or the output of any evaluation tool is when they do it incompetently. So it is very, very important that we all do our best to try to, develop the necessary skills and understandings of, before you even integrate these tools into the valuation processes or into your firm's valuation processes. You need to make sure, and there's a plethora of learning opportunities out there that can teach you things on large language models and even the tools that are more used in valuation. If you don't fully understand how to properly use it, where it's getting the data and so on and so forth, you really need to do that. There's nothing worse than getting on the stand and not being able to explain how you arrived at something. And there are plenty of experts out there that will tear you apart, judges as well, because you cannot explain why you utilized a certain assumption. I know a lot of these tools will actually print out something that says, these things were selected based on the, professional judgment of the user, but you still have to explain it. That's not good enough. Do professional care. This is a pretty big one as well. You really want to, make sure that you're thorough in your testing and validation of the outputs as well as the inputs. When you're utilizing anything like AI or the AVMs, this has been the case, before AI even, but you really need to pay attention, make sure that you understand and can do a thorough testing and validate to the best of your ability that you're actually developing or generating something that is meaningful, as accurate and reliable as possible. I know that it can be very hard to try to understand how one actually incorporates or ensures that they are still incorporating their own professional judgment when they're developing these estimates. And that's why I put the documentation aspect of this in this presentation as well. Documentation saves lives. I can't say that enough. And especially if you do a lot of litigation or a lot of valuations, it's very easy not to document things. You need to try your best to have a robust work file. If you ever get called for a deposition or a trial, that would be your best friend. You need to try your best to document why you did what you did. And that still applies when it comes to AI, AVMs, or any other valuation tools. In terms of like planning and supervision, AI can do a lot of things. And in some regards, it may be like a very low level valuation analyst in a lot of ways, but you have to really be careful with how you integrate AI and any sort of valuation tools into your practice or your day-to-day operations, ensuring that no matter what, that the specific tools that you're using, whatever you're using, aligns with the needs of the engagement. This hasn't always been the case, whether it be Microsoft Excel or any of the valuation software out there or AVMs. You want to make sure you still review the outputs and confirm that they meet to the best of your ability the professional standards. I would highly suggest reading the professional standards, because I know a lot of people don't really take the time to do that. And that's very, very important that you familiarize yourself with that, because a lot of these sort of things or best practices will they will come to mind anyway, sort of naturally, because some of it's common sense. You want to ensure the data quality is high quality, relevant data sources. That starts with understanding them. Again, you can't beat up enough cross-checking the results. Validate your findings. You really want to be able to explain, just like you've always done before AI even really became a huge part of the landscape. You really want to be able to explain the sufficient relevant data that you used, why it was sufficient. If you're in a litigation setting, why opposing counsel didn't, allegedly use sufficient relevant data. data verification and methodology rigor. I mean, what we're looking at here, when it comes to litigation, you're going to want to reliably apply methodologies. It does not leave the table when it comes to utilizing AI or anything else. However, whatever valuation tool you're using, you still need to be able to reliably apply those methodologies. You still need to be able to confirm the data fed into it, the input as well as the output, relevant to the valuation context. This is very, very important. You can and will get your case thrown out or your valuation thrown out if you can't explain what you did and why you did it. And if you rely too heavily on some of these valuation tools, or heaven forbid you don't know how to utilize them or use them, you're just really asking for trouble, and there's nothing in the standards that's going to comport with that. Scope limitations. You need to understand exactly what the valuation tool that you're using can do, or what, is it actually accomplishing one approach? Is it doing a full valuation? What is it doing? You still need to, clearly define your assignments, and, when you're integrating the AI or whatever AVMs or evaluation tools you're utilizing, you need to basically define that and talk about that. If you have a firm with multiple individuals, you need to make sure those individuals are using it right and understand the limitations of the particular valuation tool that you're utilizing. These are always these things have always applied. These are not new things, but I think a lot of sort of the hands-free, set it and forget it sort of mindset is what really gets dangerous in this particular application. It can not only render your evaluation unreliable, but you could actually violate some standards in the process. The same thing applies that we're getting into the developmental side of the standards. You're looking at, the fundamental analysis and making sure that you're considering all relevant factors affecting value, especially as it relates to the parameters of the engagement. Are you actually trying to arrive at fair market value? Are you looking at the asset, income, and market approach? That doesn't go out the window if you are utilizing any sort of valuation tool, whether it be AI or some of the older tools and AVMs that have long been available. And litigation engagement, same thing. And I just want to reiterate the main takeaways. You must apply professional judgment and adhere to the ethical standards in everything you do, especially when you're providing a value estimate. These valuation tools, no matter what they are, should be used to augment but not replace professional judgment. And the NACVA Standards Board, as well as the other boards, will be working together to try to develop supplemental standards of guidance, as well as frequently asked questions and other guidance to try to assist the membership and the industry. There's my contact information. You can reach out to me. I get a call every other day about standards. By all means, reach out to headquarters or the standards hotline if you have any questions, or reach out to the actual boards themselves.